other efforts being done. The majority of ZCurb is done on free platforms, and the financial cost of the subscriptions used to support the project is roughly $1,000 a year. Also, I find the concept of open sourcing education initiatives like open source code a very interesting one. None of the work around maintaining ZCurb is particularly difficult. It just takes a committed community members willing to consistently release content pertaining to the Zcash ecosystem. Sorry, the text is very small. But essentially, Yanis posted this to the Zcash community forum. It was received well. Me and Dismad were, I think, among the first people to reply to this, to respond. And we were like more than willing to get involved. And this is like before there was any, we didn't know what would come of it, but it just seemed like something that we were both interested in. So me and Dismad worked on it for, I think, like 4 or 5 months before we then moved to kind of formalize the project.
I just want to add that if we can sum it up in a few words, volunteers with a shared interest. That's what really started ZCurb, and I think that's beautiful.
So the origins, ZCurb is a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization. It's a group of predominantly Zcash community members who were all interested in this project we had in the earlier slide, and we formed a DAO. So it was initially on Ethereum. There was like an NFT that granted membership. I think it started with 11 members, and you can see the first post which was made by Yanis in the ZCurb Discord chat. We've included it here. Lots of relics.
I just want to add, sorry, Squirrel, that all the history and how this actually played out is in the Zcash global Discord. So I encourage everyone to check that out. And this is part of the open source nature of it. I think it's beautiful. And like Squirrel said, we didn't know if this was going to work. We're very fish out of water, but we tried, and it panned out beautifully. Okay. So the next step in moving from this idea into a more formalized role was how ZCG fits in here. So we didn't know what we were going to do. So I kind of, on my own accord, created this Zcash education contributor grant that I proposed in the beginning of January. I didn't really tell anyone because I just did it, kind of spur of the moment. And initially it was exciting, but then community feedback was given, and it was signaled that perhaps a more well-rounded DAO that included more people would be better. So I changed the grant into a ZCurb DAO proposal instead. And I think this is important aspect of what happened because it shows that ZCurb is really more about community than it is about any individual contributor. And furthermore, now looking back from all the work we've done, it's amazing how much I underestimated how much work this is involved in this project, and there's no way, zero chance I could have done this on my own. So I just wanted to highlight that. So the official link is posted here in the chat. ZCurb Open Source Education, again, that's public for everyone to see. And I posted the official announcement of when this grant was awarded. Decentralized Stand posted, I think it was like the 3rd or 2nd week of January. Okay.
And so it's been a very long road. And we now have 18 DAO members, and we have since moved the DAO from Ethereum to Cosmos. And there's a QR code there. So if you scan it, I think it should take you to our DAO page where all of our 33 proposals are listed. So you could get a good idea of exactly what we're voting on, what kind of decisions we're making. And yeah, we also have a sub DAO. It's called Zcash Design. And yeah, they are like a subset, or I guess, yeah, like a subset of ZconV community members who are like design professionals. And they also submit proposals for special projects that they're willing to make. I think the most recent one was a rather small project just to do like subtitles for the Zcash Brazil YouTube channel. Yeah.
Hey, I just want to also point out that on our intro slide, there were a lot of logos and a picture of a notepad that was actually created by one of our DAO members, Minnie, who I want to call out. She's been an amazing resource, and again, this points out to how community members are really who make what ZconV is today. And go ahead.
Also, just to also mention, the list of DAO members there are, I believe, fairly representative of the like entire global Zcash community. We've got members from Russia, from South America, from Europe, like all over the world. And so if they can provide input on what they would like to see from ZconV, like what type of education content, it shouldn't just be in English. Should it be, yeah, like the subtitles for in Portuguese, or is there something that we should make for the Español community? Like we're meant to represent everyone.
So I wanted to give a bird's eye view of ZconV just to kind of get a visual of how we're set up. So on the left-hand side, we have the ZCG, who funded the initial grant for what I'll call core contributors. That was me, Squirrel, and initially Tokidoki, and now Technopoppy. And we help run the ZconV DAO. And so the ZCG grant includes core contributor salary plus a shielded bounty. And that shielded bounty is the most important part of the grant because that is what allows the community to earn ZEC privately and in a way that helps the ecosystem. So core contributors work for the ZconV DAO. I think that's an important point. And ZconV DAO works on proposals from the community. And this is the part that I really want to emphasize. Anyone from the community can submit proposals. This is not a walled garden. This is intended for everyone to contribute. And as more people contribute, I believe it'll become even stronger. So on a technical level, DAO members have the view key for the core contributor accountability of the bounty fund. Side note, in the future, I would love to use Frost. And for that particular fund, so that it'll be more secure. So shout out to the Frost guys. I think that is the future. And in addition, since we're using DAO, there is a multi-sig in DAO that is distinct and controlled by the DAO, and it's basically 1 over the number of members of the DAO. So if we have 17 members, each person has 1 over 17th vote. I think, and I do want to give a shout out to DAO, who is allowing us to experiment with these DAO features that otherwise would have been very hard to do without the interface that it provides. It's cheap to use, it's fast, it's proof of stake, and I think it gives a good framework for what Zcash could potentially be in the future once it moves to, when it moves to proof of stake later in time. So Empowering community. One of ZCUB's main objectives is promoting Zcash by empowering the community. By democratizing content creation, ZCUB helps participants develop skills, rewarding members who complete tasks with ZEC. These participants also learn through research about the importance of financial privacy, financial freedom, and the crypto ecosystem in general. ZCUB community members create on a weekly basis written content, graphic content, and audio-visual content. Aiming beyond. The goal is for members to aim beyond completing single work tasks, to understand the different parts of the ecosystem and integrate in a deeper way. So we're looking for folks to join the DAO. We're looking for new ZCG proposals, and we're looking to integrate Zcash payments into their own business. These are just a few examples.
And so going deeper, how is it structured? So we have, we work using dwork. It's a platform. You can go to dwork.zcub.org, and we essentially list tasks on a weekly basis. People can create documentation. We have a GitHub repository, and usually it's markdown documents. They can make pull requests into the main ZCUB GitHub repository, and they will be added to the knowledge base of all the Zcash information that we've accumulated over the past 2 years. So we have like a broad outline of contributor like bounty payouts, which are expected. Say for a wiki, for one wiki page, we would say a fair amount is 1 ZEC, and to make edits, it would be 0.15 ZEC. Or for translations, it'd be 0.15 ZEC. For any edits, it'd be 0.1 ZEC. And for a newsletter, normally it's 0.5 ZEC. So we're really open to people who are interested in Zcash. If they want to make something, we have the framework to do it. If there's Zcash community members who would like to see a particular bounty being listed, that is completely open. You can go on to dwork.zcub.org and you can create a task that someone else can complete or accomplish. And I'm pretty happy that over the past 4 months, we've seen an increasing amount of ZCUB contributors making their own tasks. So they're becoming more aware of what's needed in the ecosystem, and they say, okay, I'm willing to receive Zcash payment for doing this. It's pretty cool.
I also want to give a shout out to Free to Z. We support Free to Z, and we have a ZCUB page. I added a QR code for those on mobile who want to check it out. We have a lot of resources, and I think Free to Z is an underutilized resource that more Zcashers should check out.
And so over the past, in 2023, specifically, we had 55 contributors. A total of 398 ZEC was distributed. And on average, each contributor earned 7.2 ZEC. Many of those tasks have been design work. And some of it is, thanks to the consistent and the consistent efforts of the Decentralizing Digital Task Force, ZCUB is now able to contribute to the main Zcash channels. And this is just an example of some of the stuff that we've put out that's been quite well received. And a very, very special thank you. This wouldn't be possible without the Zcash Brazil mods who are maintaining the Zcash Global Discord, Zcash Español and RU Zcash who are translating the ZEC Weekly editions via their own channels, Oleg and Yogi who've been translating video tutorials into Italian and Portuguese, and Yogi again from Zcash Brazil who's been creating these really cool ZEC Weekly covers. CF AV Club workshops for help teaching us how to do video editing using design software, and even Ryan and Zerodarts specifically for like their amazing AI artwork, which are normally reused by ZconV and teaching us how to use that stuff as well. Thank you.
I just want to add that this slide really encapsulates what my favorite part of ZconV is everyone coming together and bringing their strengths. And this is awesome. And I can't say enough about the folks that have been contributing. They're awesome and they deserve way more praise. So I'll start
I'll go through this
very
quickly.
Ahead.
Don't worry. So the initial ZconV wiki site, it was on Notion. As I said before, contributors would create markdown documents with information on wallets, Zcash organizations, starter guides, anything you can think of. People would submit those markdown documents into the GitHub repo. It was presented in this Notion site. After a few months of collecting all of this information, the Notion site was very, very hard to navigate, and it wasn't mobile friendly. In late November of 2023, we launched this new website. It was created by Manuel Rios as a ZconV task, quite a large task. It was modeled on ethereum.org, and this website was created to initially throughout 2023, we were collecting all of this like Zcash knowledge base. At the end of 2023, the priority then became, how are we going to provide this information? How are we going to present it in a way that people can actually navigate and use? And if you go to ZconV.wiki, you can check it out, and it's got a ton of new functions, and I think it's beginning to work very well. Some of those new functions, it has a network stats dashboard, which presents the shielded supply across the 3 shielded pools. It's got a halving countdown meter. It shows the amount of ZEC in each of the shielded pools. There's some information below there which you can't see, which essentially prints out like information from Zcash Block Explorer API rather. And that's a preview of our menu.
I also want to point out that the scripts that are helping run the shielded supply are open source and available for anyone to use. I know there's been a lot of chatter online about the lack of accurate shielded supply info, and all these scripts run from a full node, which I recommend everyone run. But I just wanted to highlight that the scripts that we're using are open source, and I encourage everyone to check them out and build on them and or use them as needed.
Mm-hmm. Everything on that network dashboard was essentially from zlink.click, created by Oleg. So big thank you to Oleg for sharing the scripts there as well. Okay, so we have more functions. If you go to zconv.wiki/wallets, you'll be presented with a list of all the Zcash wallets. We don't just give you a list of wallets. We also want to give you an option to filter out each of the wallets by their features. So which are mobile, which are desktop, which have sapling, which have orchard, which are still in development, which sync mechanisms are used in each of these. And we're hoping that this can kind of ease the kind of barriers to entry when people are trying to figure out like Zcash wallets essentially. In addition to that, we also added a new like donate widget to the site, and it uses zip321, and we're hoping like this is an example of how people can essentially copy this and use it in their own blogs and sites.
The ZconV store is another beautiful example of how the community coming together can yield amazing results. We are using on the backside Zgo, and I created a QR code for those who are curious how to set this up. But it essentially allows anyone to create a store and accept shielded ZEC as the currency of choice. And I think that's so awesome. And the other aspect of this is all these designs are are created. So we have a positive feedback loop where the community is contributing and it's increasing ZEC usage. And I just think it's awesome. And the other aspect of ZChub, beyond the sites and the DAO, is the content itself. We do have a YouTube. Again, as a QR code, if you have your phone, you can subscribe, like, check out your favorite videos. But what I wanted to highlight was we have about 113 videos, the average view count 183, the median view count 131. And from what I've seen, and the data is showing, the most popular content is shielded education, advanced wallet functions like cold storage, DeFi and ZSA education is very popular. In fact, I highly recommend everyone check out the Zcash shielded asset protocol. That was Shielded Labs and us together, and Robman, huge shout out to Robman, helped us create this video, and it's really it gets me excited because there's huge things coming. And then the last section is the podcast with diversity industry experts are another big hit. And I think it's interesting also that while these videos aren't getting, thousands of views, they are steadily building over time. And I think as time moves on, these will be invaluable resources for the community.
Okay, so very quickly, I'm going to just share. This is an app that we created. It's called Retransmisión. Someone can use the map to select where they want to send a Zcash shielded memo, and it will beam it down via satellite. And I'm just kind of doing this as a demonstration of what is what you can make with Zcash. The key thing to note here is that when I tap the QR code, as you can see, it opens a Zcash. It opens a list of Zcash wallets which can detect ZIP321 payment URIs. And so I think a lot of apps can be created already using Zcash. We don't need smart contracts. We've already got some pretty cool functionality. So what's next? This is the roadmap that we created at the very beginning of January. And this is, essentially what we thought was possible in the 5 months. And I think that for the most part, we've reached most of these things. The retroactive compensation round isn't going to happen, but we were lucky enough to work with My First Zcash instead.
I do want to point out that through DAO, they have a retroactive compensation module, which we can explore in the future. So it is possible we can revisit that at a later time.
And so what's next for ZChub? I would very much like for us to start to encourage some of the developers who have worked with us. So far, it's 13 who have contributed to zchub.wiki. And the first thing which I'd like to see is for a form, which again uses this ZIP321 payment URI so that people can send us proposals, or specifically send the DAO proposals for proof of concept apps that they'd like to build. It could be fun games. It could be a radio station that accepts requests via shielded memo. We would like to see that kind of thing.
All right, guys. So the call to action, if we can sum up everything that I want everyone to take away. ZChub education is open to everyone. Bounties will continue. The ZChub DAO is open to new ideas. Anyone can create proposals. And bottom line, I want everyone to have fun because that's where the most learning happens. Expect change. This stuff isn't easy and it's very fluid, and we need to adapt. Questions?
Yes, we did have a question which came in. Has ZChub considered a dissemination campaign for in continents or countries with low community activity, how do you plan to engage these communities and highlight the benefits of Zcash? Yes, we have considered, well, not exactly campaigns, but we have considered working with Zcash global ambassadors. As fate would have it, My First Zcash is essentially a workbook that I think Zcash global ambassadors can use to like hold workshops. I also think that the ZChub store, if they're like flags or banners that are needed, we can send them out to those groups. And even today, if you go into the Zcash global Discord in the ZChub channel, you will see a contributor from who knows where has just come up with the idea to host local workshops. So we're interested. If you've got ideas, let us know.
Another question came in. Do you have plans to specifically target more mature users, say 65 and over, in your efforts? As populations age and more computer literate than in the past, I see this as a potential targeting in your educational efforts. I couldn't agree more. And I think it's interesting that both older users and younger users are in the same boat. And that is the challenge for us, because the learning curve is clearly hard for Zcash, and that is our goal, is to make it as easy as possible. But yeah, I think we need to show a lot of patience, especially with the older generation, because in some ways that we have to earn their trust, and that takes time. But I think what we've started is going to help in that, and as we gather more folks from the community, I think there's even potential for someone to really take on specific areas or specific types of folks that they want to specialize in, and perhaps we can help spur that. So great question. Thank you for that.
I think we have another one here. Since educational content often gets less attention online compared to entertainment, do you have strategies to make it more appealing? Can gamification make the lessons more fun, engaging, and interactive? Yes.
I would like to jump in on that.
Go ahead.
This has been a learning experience for us too. And so far, yes, we've been working with audiovisual content to promote and educate about Zcash and financial privacy. But it would be a good experience, an awesome experience to start learning about gamification and these entertainment possibilities. Try not to make video boring. That's a challenge. I'm the one who's been reading, trying to learn. But yes, we want to aim to make more entertaining plus educational videos. Anyways, one of the cool things about this world is that it can be very fun. It's not very hard to learn if you really pay attention and if you really want to learn. So right now our strategy is making fresh, easy to digest content, but we are aiming to provide a more interactive or fun experience in the future. That's something we would like to add up.
There's another question.
Go ahead.
There's another question I'd like to address. Have you thought about having a ZChub space content in Spanish? Absolutely. At the end of the day, there's only so much the three of us can accomplish together. And what we really need is more folks who are willing to take on those types of events. Especially like with me, I don't speak very good Spanish, so it's hard for me to really understand the questions and connect with the community. But if we can find the folks that are willing to help us with stuff like that, I think because we're open source, we have a framework, and I think we can grow there. But we're going to need more support through.
Yeah. Folks. We've been indeed sharing some of our material in Spanish. I've been sharing them with my people from Zcash in Español, and it's a very positive experience, but yes, we need a bit more hands because we have to be creating, then I have to translate and distribute to every channel. So sometimes I don't have the time, sometimes something happens. We are aiming to that. I was thinking about talking with you guys. We can discuss it later about creating a Spanish Instagram account. But yeah, a little more cooperation from the community will be welcome in that matter.
We also have the Zcash global folder, so part of the initial work in 2023 was creating, we translated the entire ZCub wiki into a bunch of different languages. When we moved over to the new site, we could only create the site in English. So there are many folders. There's the full ZCub wiki in Italian, Portuguese, some of it, like most of Russian, I believe. And yeah, Spanish and Swahili and Yoruba. If anyone wants to work on that and to create their own material from it, or would like to work with us with those folders, let us know. There's another question. Do you plan to take more active role in creating developer-focused content to bridge the gap between developers and ZCub DAO? Yes. Yeah. Particularly with that app factory idea, I think in the Zcash community, we have amazing developers who are super geniuses, right? So the analogy that I would draw is in astronomy, you've got the Hubble Space Telescope, you've got JWST, you've got the Very Large Telescope Array, you've got all these big mega projects, right? And they're all dedicated to finding habitable planets and finding new things. But every now and then you find there's an amateur astronomer who comes along with a $400 telescope and points it into a piece of the sky that's never been looked at before and discovers a new comet or a new asteroid. So I think that kind of approach of just bringing everyone or allowing anyone to make something that they're interested in, it might just yield something useful or fun that people want to use their Zcash wallets for.
There is another question here, if I can read it for you guys. I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, there's another question here. ZChub has grown significantly in the last year. How do you think it has impacted the community as an educational hub since its creation? Well, I'm one of the most recent members of both community and core members, and I guess its impact has been pretty positive. Of course, we want this impact to be bigger, but I guess the greatest example of this is myself. I started as an occasional community contributor with some videos and images and stuff like that. And I started getting involved to the point where I'm here today with you. And there are another great examples of community being positively impacted by ZChub's work. I would like to mention Papeles a Color. She is another community contributor, and now you can see her search in the store where she designs. She creates designs for the store you can use on your apparel, and she even started her own website. With all the resources she gathered, all the sex she gathered from the community work, from the work, she started her own website and started boosting her local business with this work. And there's a lot of more people that has been involved in SecHub, especially in the work, and they have seen this impact. They have learned. They are now an active part of the community, and they are contributing whenever possible. Examples like my first Zcash, so many things that are happening that came from SecHub collaboration and inspired these members to do a little more, to try to find a bigger role inside the community.
All right, guys, unless there's anything else you'd like to say, I think we covered everything. I want to thank everyone for their time. This journey has been amazing, and it wouldn't have worked any other way, down from the initial ideas presented to the community who really stepped forward. And I know there's a lot of people behind the scenes that are helping us, and I really appreciate it. And I can't say thank you enough. This project is meaningful for me, and I love working on it, and I hope to continue it into the future.
Thank you. Me too. By the way, after the my first Zcash presentation, please join us in Discord, in the global Discord. We're going to be like recapping the whole event.
Thanks everyone for your support and for being around, and hope we see you in the SecHub community every single day we're working there. It's been fun. It's been a pleasure.